What would happen if the prepper community's most closely guarded secret finally got out? Not the dramatic survival gear, not the expensive freeze-dried meal kits. Not the military surplus equipment that fills most prepper YouTube channels. I'm talking about the quiet, ordinary, completely unglamorous foods that serious preppers buy in bulk at Walmart every single month and deliberately never post about online. I've been embedded in serious prepper communities, private survival forums, and closed preparedness groups for the past 9 years, and I need to be brutally honest with you right now. The most prepared people in America are not stocking what the survival industry is selling you. They're buying 12 specific foods that cost between $1 and $5 each, that sit on ordinary grocery shelves, and that they actively avoid discussing publicly because the moment something goes viral in prepper circles, it disappears from shelves within 72 hours. Here's why they stay silent. These aren't exotic, they aren't impressive, they don't make good thumbnail content, but they work consistently, reliably. For years of stored nutrition at pennies per serving. Number 11 on this list costs $1.27 at Walmart right now. It has a verified 25-year shelf life. It provides complete nutrition that most $8 freeze-dried pouches can't match. And it's been sitting on the same grocery shelf your entire life while you walked past it every single week. And when I reveal number 2, the $3 item that serious preppers consider more valuable than anything else in their entire supply, you're going to understand immediately why this community has kept it completely off the internet. Because once you know what it does and how it stores, you'll never walk past it again. Hit that subscribe button right now because I'm breaking the silence on information this community has protected for years. Let's get into it. Item number 1 is canned corned beef hash in large format cans, specifically the Libby's or Great Value 15-ounce cans available at Walmart. And this is the complete protein and calorie source that serious preppers stock in quantities that would genuinely shock most people if they ever saw the storage. Here's why this matters. Canned corned beef hash is one of the most complete single-can emergency meals available in any grocery store. One 15-ounce can delivers approximately 420 calories, 22 grams of complete protein, and significant iron and B vitamins in a format that can be eaten directly from the can at room temperature with zero preparation required. No heating necessary, no cooking, no electricity. Open the can, eat the contents, move on. That zero preparation profile is exactly why serious preppers prioritize it over more glamorous freeze-dried alternatives that require hot water, preparation time, and fuel. A guy who works in serious long-term preparedness consulting, the kind who advises families building genuine multi-year food supplies, told me that corned beef hash is in the top 5 items he recommends to every client without exception. Not because it's exciting, because it's reliable, complete, and completely overlooked by casual preppers who are chasing dramatic survival foods instead of building genuine nutritional coverage. Current pricing runs $2.97 per 15-ounce can at Walmart. A case of 12 runs $35.64. Canned beef prices have increased 23% over 18 months, with further increases projected through 2026 as cattle production costs continue rising. I personally bought 15 cases about 8 months ago. Total cost was $534. I stored sealed cases on wooden pallets in my basement away from concrete floors and direct heat. Storage is completely dead simple. Commercially canned corned beef hash maintains full quality for 3 to 5 years with viable nutrition extending to 10 years. Item number 2 is dried black-eyed peas in bulk bags, the $3 item that serious preppers consider one of the most strategically valuable foods in their entire supply, and the reason this community actively avoids posting about it online is something you'll understand the moment I explain what makes it genuinely irreplaceable. Here's why this matters. Dried black-eyed peas have one specific property that separates them from every other dried legume in the survival food category. They cook significantly faster than any other dried bean without requiring soaking. Standard dried kidney beans, pinto beans, and chickpeas require 8 hours of soaking plus 60 to 90 minutes of boiling, consuming enormous amounts of fuel in a grid-down scenario. Black-eyed peas cook tender in 45 minutes from completely dry with no soaking whatsoever. In a fuel conservation scenario, that distinction is absolutely critical. The legume that feeds your family on a fraction of the fuel that other beans require is the legume that keeps your fuel supply lasting 3 times longer. Here's the financial reality that makes this the $3 item serious preppers protect most fiercely. A 1-pound bag of dried black-eyed peas at Walmart costs $1.47 and provides approximately 10 complete servings of protein and fiber-dense food. That's 14.7 cents per serving for a food that delivers 13 grams of protein, 11 grams of fiber, significant iron, folate, and potassium per serving. Nothing in the freeze-dried survival food market comes within 500% of that cost per serving ratio for comparable nutrition. Serious preppers buy this in 25-pound bulk quantities and say absolutely nothing about it publicly because the moment it trends, the price spikes and the supply tightens. A woman who has been building serious preparedness supplies for 22 years told me that black-eyed peas are the single item she would choose if she could only choose one dried legume for a multi-year supply. Not lentils, not kidney beans, black-eyed peas. Because of the fuel efficiency, the nutritional density, and the universal palatability that makes them acceptable to children and elderly family members who reject stronger flavored beans. Item number 3 is full-fat evaporated milk in standard 12-ounce cans, case quantities, and this is the shelf-stable dairy source that serious preppers have stocked quietly for decades while the mainstream preparedness community chased powdered milk alternatives that cost 3 times as much and perform significantly worse. Here's why this matters. Evaporated milk has had approximately 60% of its water content removed through a vacuum evaporation process before sealing. That water removal does 3 critical things simultaneously. It concentrates the nutritional content, more protein, calcium, and fat per volume than fresh milk. It extends shelf stability dramatically without requiring refrigeration, and it reduces the weight and volume of equivalent dairy nutrition for storage efficiency. A 12-ounce can of evaporated milk reconstitutes with an equal amount of water into 24 ounces of functional milk, providing the same dairy nutrition at half the storage volume. Here's the thing that makes serious preppers stock this rather than powdered milk in most circumstances. Evaporated milk opens and pours immediately, no mixing, no clumping, no reconstitution failure. In a scenario where you're managing stress, children, and a disrupted routine simultaneously, the friction of mixing powdered milk correctly every single time is a real practical problem. Evaporated milk eliminates that friction entirely. Open, pour use. The simplicity of that process under stress is a genuine advantage that casual preparedness content never acknowledges. Think about this practically. When your refrigerator stops working, your fresh milk is gone within hours. A can of evaporated milk in your storage remains exactly as useful 6 months later as the day you bought it. For coffee, a critical morale item in any extended disruption. For oatmeal. For any recipe requiring dairy. For children who need familiar food during unfamiliar circumstances. Evaporated milk delivers all of that from a $1.47 can that stores for 2 to 3 years without any special conditions. I personally bought 48 cases of 12 cans each about 7 months ago. Total cost was $846. I stored the sealed cases in plastic totes in my basement. Storage is completely dead simple. Current pricing runs $1.47 to $1.97 per can at Walmart. Pricing has increased 19% over 18 months. All right, let's be completely real here. The first 3 items share a pattern that explains exactly why the prepper community never posts about them publicly. They're ordinary, they're cheap. They're completely unglamorous. They don't generate exciting thumbnail content or impressive storage photos. But they deliver complete nutrition at cost structures that no survival food company can touch. And that's precisely the competitive advantage serious preppers protect by keeping them completely off. Social media? Item number 4 is instant mashed potato flakes in large sealed containers, and the reason serious preppers have been quietly stockpiling this for decades while mainstream channels ignored. It comes down to one specific preparation property that makes it uniquely valuable in a no-electricity scenario. Here's why this matters. Instant potato flakes reconstitute with any temperature water, not just boiling water, not just hot water, but warm, tepid, or even cold water given sufficient soaking time. That temperature flexibility means you can prepare a complete carbohydrate meal from this product without any heat source whatsoever in a genuine emergency. No stove, no camp stove, no fire. Add water, wait, eat. That cold preparation option is shared by almost no other shelf-stable carbohydrate source and is the specific property that makes it essential rather than merely convenient. Potatoes sustained European populations through famines, wars, and economic collapses for over 400 years. Instant potato flakes capture essentially all of that nutritional value: complex carbohydrates, potassium, vitamin C, B vitamins, in a format that a child can prepare with nothing beyond a container of water. In a household managing stress across multiple family members, including children, having a familiar comfort food that anyone can prepare without adult supervision or any cooking infrastructure has enormous practical value beyond pure nutrition. Item number 5 is canned chicken breast in large format no-drain cans, specifically the Kirkland Signature variety at Costco or the Great Value brand at Walmart, and this is the ready-to-eat complete protein source that serious preppers stock in quantities that represent months of protein security. Here's why this matters. Canned chicken breast in no-drain format provides 22 to 25 grams of complete protein per serving in the softest, most easily consumed texture of any canned meat available. That texture matters enormously in an extended scenario where digestive stress, reduced appetite, and physical fatigue combine to make harder foods genuinely difficult to eat. Canned chicken requires zero chewing effort, zero preparation, and produces zero smell, a critical consideration in scenarios where attracting attention or creating odor signals is undesirable. Here's the specific insider knowledge that serious preppers never share publicly. The no-drain variety is specifically superior to standard canned chicken for emergency use because the liquid it's packed in is itself a nutritious broth that can be consumed directly or used as a cooking liquid for any grain or vegetable dish. You open the can and get both protein and broth simultaneously, two emergency food resources from a single product. Standard drain pack canned chicken wastes that broth entirely. Current pricing runs $2.97 per 12.5-ounce can at Walmart. Costco carries larger format cans at better per ounce pricing. I personally bought 20 cases of 12 cans each about 6 months ago. Total cost was $712. Storage is dead simple. Commercially canned chicken maintains full quality for 3 to 5 years. Item number 6 is whole grain crackers in sealed multi-packs, specifically the Triscuit Original or Wassa crisp bread varieties in the largest available multi-pack format, and this is the carbohydrate delivery system that makes every other protein and fat source on this list dramatically more practical to eat. Here's why this matters. Canned proteins, sardines, chicken, corned beef hash, tuna, are nutritionally extraordinary but psychologically difficult to eat directly from the can without any accompaniment. The eating experience of spooning protein directly from a metal can without any textural contrast or familiar eating format is genuinely unpleasant for most people and becomes a source of appetite resistance within days. Whole grain crackers transform that experience completely. They provide the textural contrast, the familiar eating format, and the carbohydrate complement that makes protein sources genuinely satisfying rather than merely functional. Here's the practical nutrition argument that goes beyond psychology. Whole grain crackers provide complex carbohydrates, B vitamins, and dietary fiber in a completely shelf-stable, zero preparation format that pairs with every protein and fat source in your emergency supply. They don't require any liquid, any heat, any preparation. They store in their original sealed packaging without any repackaging for 12 to 18 months and significantly longer when repackaged in airtight containers. Current pricing runs $4.97 for a large Triscuit multipack at Walmart and $3.97 for a Wassa crisp bread package. I personally bought 40 packages of Wassa and 20 multipacks of Triscuits about 5 months ago. Total cost was $258. Storage is dead simple, sealed in original packaging in a cool, dry location. Now here's what nobody in the prepper community is talking about online. The next group of items moves into the category that serious preppers consider most strategically sensitive: foods whose combination creates complete nutrition from the simplest possible ingredient list. At cost structures so low that posting about them publicly would create immediate supply pressure on the exact products that make the strategy work. Quick pause right here, I've compiled a complete, free secret prepper shopping list with exact Walmart product names, current prices, recommended quantities for a 90-day supply, and storage specifications for every item in this video. The link is in the description below, completely free. No email required. Download it before your next store run. Back to the list. Item number 7 is tomato powder in bulk sealed containers, available through Walmart online and restaurant supply stores, and this is the flavor transformation ingredient that serious preppers consider one of the highest utility per dollar items in their entire supply, while almost nobody in public prepper content has ever mentioned it seriously. Here's why this matters. Tomato powder is simply dehydrated tomatoes ground into a fine powder. Reconstituted with water, it becomes tomato paste, tomato sauce, or tomato soup depending on the water ratio used. 1 pound of tomato powder equals approximately 10 pounds of fresh tomatoes in flavor and nutritional content. The vitamin C content, critical in a no fresh produce emergency scenario, is preserved through the dehydration process at levels comparable to fresh tomatoes. And the flavor concentration is so intense that a single teaspoon transforms a pot of bland rice or beans into something that genuinely tastes like a real meal. Here's the practical genius of tomato powder over canned tomatoes for serious long-term storage. A pound of tomato powder stores in a fraction of the space of equivalent canned tomatoes. The weight is dramatically lower, important for any mobile emergency scenario. The shelf life sealed with oxygen absorbers extends to 10 to 25 years, far exceeding the 3 to 5 year shelf life of canned tomatoes. And the versatility, paste, sauce, soup, seasoning powder from a single ingredient is unmatched by any canned tomato product. Current pricing runs $8.97 to $12.97 per pound through Walmart online and bulk suppliers. I personally bought 20 pounds about 11 months ago. Total cost was $220. I stored it sealed in quart mason jars with oxygen absorbers in my basement. Storage is completely dead simple. Shelf life sealed with oxygen absorbers reaches 10 to 25 years depending on storage temperature. Item number 8 is nutritional yeast in large bulk containers, and this is the item that serious preppers consider their single most important flavor and nutrition multiplier while almost zero mainstream preparedness content has ever covered it seriously. Here's why this matters. Nutritional yeast is deactivated yeast with a rich, savory, cheese-like flavor that transforms any bland emergency food into something genuinely satisfying. 1 tablespoon delivers 2 grams of complete protein, significant B vitamins including B12, the vitamin almost impossible to obtain from plant-based survival foods, zinc, selenium, and folate. In a long-term emergency scenario where animal protein sources become inconsistent, the B12 content alone makes nutritional yeast a medical necessity rather than a flavor preference. B12 deficiency produces neurological symptoms, numbness, cognitive impairment, mood disruption within months of complete dietary elimination. Here's the morale argument that goes beyond pure nutrition. Nutritional yeast sprinkled over rice, beans, oatmeal, pasta, or popcorn creates a savory, satisfying flavor that makes survival food taste like real food. I talked to a preparedness consultant who has worked with families through 30 to 60-day food storage testing scenarios. She said nutritional yeast was consistently the item that families wished they had more of by day 21, because the flavor variety it provided was the single biggest factor in maintaining consistent caloric intake across the full testing period. Item number 9 is raw apple cider vinegar with the mother culture in gallon jugs, and this is the multifunction survival supply that serious preppers stock in bulk quantities while never mentioning it in any online forum because its utility extends so far beyond cooking that discussing it publicly would immediately create supply pressure. Here's why this matters. Raw apple cider vinegar with an active mother culture is simultaneously a food preservation agent, a cleaning and surface sterilization compound, a digestive health supplement, a natural antimicrobial wound care agent, and a food flavoring ingredient, all from a single sealed gallon jug that costs $6.97 at Walmart. That multifunction profile is what serious preppers value most in any supply item. One product solving 6 different emergency challenges simultaneously is 6 times the value of a single-purpose item at the same price. The food preservation application specifically is what gets almost zero discussion in mainstream preparedness content. A gallon of raw ACV allows you to pickle and preserve vegetables, eggs, and some proteins through simple brine fermentation, extending the shelf life of any fresh food you have access to from days to weeks or months without any electricity or refrigeration required. That preservation capability is the original pre-refrigeration food security technology that humans used for thousands of years before modern cold chain infrastructure. Serious preppers know it. They don't post about it. Current pricing runs $6.97 per gallon at Walmart. Sealed undiluted ACV maintains full strength for 5 or more years, and the acidity actually maintains or improves over time. I personally bought 20-gallon jugs about 6 months ago. Total cost was $139. Storage is completely dead simple, sealed jugs in cool basement location, no special conditions required. Item number 10 is canned pumpkin puree bought in case quantities during year-round availability windows. The $1.97 can that has been on American grocery shelves since the 1940s and whose final year-round availability in major chains is actively being compressed right now. Here's why this matters. Canned pumpkin is already cooked and pureed, requiring absolutely zero preparation of any kind. Open the can and eat it directly, mix it with oats, add it to rice. It works immediately with zero cooking, zero electricity, and zero preparation time. For that complete zero preparation profile, it delivers one of the highest vitamin A concentrations of any canned food, over 200% of daily requirement per serving, plus significant fiber, potassium, and vitamin C. That nutritional density from a zero preparation food at under $2 per can is extraordinary. Here's the strategic intelligence that serious preppers understand about this specific product. Grocery chains are actively reclassifying canned pumpkin from a year-round staple to a seasonal item available only September through December. That reclassification is already complete in multiple regional markets and is expanding across major chains through 2026. The window to buy it as a freely available year-round product is closing, not because of a supply shortage but because of a retail merchandising decision that most consumers won't notice until they go looking for it in March and find it simply isn't there. Current pricing runs $1.97 to $2.47 per 15-ounce can during availability windows. I personally bought 36 cans during the last full availability window about 5 months ago. Total cost was $84. Storage is dead simple. Commercially sealed canned pumpkin maintains full quality for 2 to 3 years, meaning buying during availability windows covers you through subsequent unavailability periods with significant surplus. Item number 11 is cream of wheat in large format sealed bags, the $1.27 item with a verified 25-year shelf life when properly stored that provides complete nutrition, most $8 freeze-dried pouches. Can't match, and the reason serious preppers have quietly stockpiled this for decades while mainstream channels completely ignored it is simple. It doesn't look impressive enough to post about. Here's why this matters. Cream of wheat is finely ground wheat semolina, a complete carbohydrate source that cooks in 2.5 minutes with boiling water or reconstitutes in warm water over 10 to 15 minutes without any heat at. That cold reconstitution option, imperfect but functional, makes it viable in a zero-fuel scenario in ways that rice and pasta cannot match. One serving delivers 170 calories, significant iron, 50% of daily requirement, B vitamins, and calcium at a cost of approximately 8 cents per serving at bulk pricing. Here's the thing that mainstream preparedness content consistently misses about cream of wheat specifically. It's one of the most accepted foods across every demographic in American households. Elderly family members with dental issues or digestive sensitivity eat it willingly. Children who reject almost every other emergency food option accept it. Adults experiencing stress-reduced appetite eat it because the smooth texture requires minimal digestive effort. That universal demographic acceptance is the preparedness property that no nutrition label communicates but that every serious prepper values above almost everything else. Item number 12 is refined coconut oil in large format jars, the final item that ties every other item on this list together, and the reason serious preppers never post about their coconut oil stockpiles is that it's the one item whose multifunction emergency utility is so broad that discussing it publicly would feel like giving away the complete playbook. Here's why this matters. Refined coconut oil is the only shelf-stable cooking fat that simultaneously provides high-heat cooking capability, caloric density at 120 calories per tablespoon, antimicrobial properties, skin protection in extreme weather conditions, fire-starting acceleration when combined with cotton, and an effectively indefinite shelf life when sealed. That combination of functions from a single product is absolutely unique in the emergency food and supply category. Nothing else delivers all of those applications from one jar. The caloric density argument is the one serious preppers consider most critical. In a scenario where caloric adequacy is a genuine challenge, where every stored food item needs to deliver maximum calories per unit of storage space and weight, adding 1 tablespoon of coconut oil to any meal adds 120 calories with 0 additional preparation, 0 additional water requirement, and 0 flavor imposition because refined coconut oil is completely neutral in taste. That caloric boost per tablespoon is higher than any other food additive available at any price point. Current pricing runs $9.97 for a 30-ounce jar at Walmart and $15.99 for a 54-ounce jar at Costco. Coconut oil prices have increased 22% over 18 months, with further increases projected as Philippine and Indonesian production faces structural supply constraints. I personally bought 15 large Costco jars about 9 months ago. Total cost was $240. Storage is dead simple. Sealed refined coconut oil maintains full quality for 2 or more years at room temperature with essentially indefinite shelf life in cool storage conditions. There you have it. 12 prepper foods that the most serious preparedness communities in America buy quietly, stock deliberately, and never discuss publicly, because the moment these items trend online, the supply pressure and price spikes that follow make them less accessible for everyone who already understands their value. The pattern is clear. Every item on this list costs between $1.27 and $9.97. every item is available at Walmart or Costco right now. Every item has a shelf life of 2 to 30 years depending on storage method. And not a single item appears in mainstream survival food marketing because none of them generate the kind of dramatic visual content that sells expensive freeze-dried meal kits and premium survival packages. The serious prepper community figured out decades ago that the most effective emergency food supply isn't impressive, it's functional, it's cheap, it's ordinary. And it's bought in bulk from the same grocery store everyone else shops at, quietly, without posting about it. Because the strategic advantage of being prepared disappears the moment everyone else prepares for the same thing at the same time. Go to your nearest Walmart and Costco in the next 2 weeks and work through this list. Start with the 5 items your household already uses and buy 3 to 6 months of supply at current pricing. Your total investment for a complete 90-day supply of all 12 items runs $200 to $400 depending on household size, a fraction of what the survival food industry charges for the same caloric coverage. In less practical, less versatile formats. And if you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button right now because I'll keep bringing you the insider preparedness intelligence that serious communities protect and mainstream channels never cover. This information exists, most people just never find it. Stay smart out there. I'll see you in the next video.